Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live with the legend himself, the Tiger King. He is currently locked up. Are you there, Joe? Are you there?
I am, Alex. How you doing, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, brother. It's just sad that we're in another 2025 and you're still locked up. It's absolute bullshit. But what do you think now that Trump's in office? Do you think there's a chance that now we can get you out?
Man, I'm hoping, between you and John Clay Wolf and Joe Rogan's out there rooting for me now, and Matt Gaetz, and God, I've got the voices. I just need the man to listen.
No, you're right. I just don't understand though why it's such a big issue, considering that you were a cultural phenomenon. You know what I mean? And nobody got hurt. I mean, this is a threat. You kind of went to jail for it, and we know that guy was full of shit. But I'm just saying, there's just so many people that are rapists, child molesters, murderers that get less jail time than you, Joe. And it just shows you that our political system and our criminal justice system is totally corrupt.
I'm actually hoping that since he's been indicted 94 times and convicted 34 times, he knows how corrupt this system is. Last I heard, he spent something like $60 million on lawyers. A normal citizen like me can't do that. So I need his help. I just need his help. John Clay sure talks a lot about you. I guess y'all are good friends.
Yes, John Clay Wolf's my man because him and I, we've been in the car business for a long time. Him and I've traded a lot of cars. We've done business together. So he's knocked my head off a couple of times. I think I might have knocked his head off maybe once, but he's knocked mine off more than he.
He says that y'all might be able to reach Don Jr. because. Boy, John Clay's got this big old party planned over in Dallas if I ever make it out of here.
And obviously, dude, he's got parties. That's his whole thing. Now he's like he's basically helping that small town. I forget the town where he's basically redoing the whole place. But John Clay Wolf's a powerful guy. And Joe, I'm never going to forget about you because listen, I know that you spent your whole life. You were one of the earliest people making content. You had your own Joe Exotic TV. And then you finally break through. You become the most famous guy of the year, and you're in jail. And I think that's the biggest tragedy, is that you worked so hard for this, and you finally got it, and under the worst circumstances.
It is crazy. But the crazy part is the government's so-called hitman that they set me up with admitted on world television on Tiger King 2 that he lied and he made it all up. And then he went one step further, Alex, and I'm sure you've seen the videos either on my website or on Tiger King 2. He took the lawyers and the film people to the zoo and showed them where he hid a murder weapon where they were actually going to kill me first. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm here.
It doesn't make sense, and that's why we're going to just keep on fighting for you. And, I will, obviously, once Trump gets inaugurated in less than 2 weeks, I think that, John and I will. I'll send a message to Donald Trump Jr. and Laura Trump. The only issue is they're about to pardon all these January 6ers. They need to throw you in there with them. I'm just worried that they might be focused on letting those guys out. But if he does a pardon of 3,000 people for January 6th, he needs to throw you in there too. That's just how I personally feel. Would you agree with that?
Man, I'm hoping he will. It would be the right thing. He would be somewhat of another hero. I mean, people already claim, look up to him as a hero to save America. But there's people all over the world that want to see me get out of here because they know it's the right thing to do. I just hope that he doesn't get so wrapped up like he did in 2020 in the crap, with this renaming the Gulf of Mexico and he gets sidetracked. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, I don't want Canada, Joe. I mean, what do you think about? Do we need Canada? I don't know if that influences us that much. It's taking over all these countries.
All it's going to do is add to our national debt because we're just going to have to take care of them
That's what I'm saying. Joe, do you know how, and right now Los Angeles is on fire. I know you get the news, but you might not be able to see it as well. Multiple celebrities, hundreds of people, thousands of people at this point, their houses have totally burned down in California. And the mayor is in Ghana, Africa, celebrating, I guess, the new president in Ghana. And they just cut their budget by $17 million, and they ran out of water to put the fires out in Los Angeles right now.
It's crazy. It is crazy. There's so much that is going wrong in America. We need to concentrate on America. The hell with Canada.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Joe. Now, because since you're such an animal expert, I've watched this documentary. It was an Academy Award-winning documentary, and he reminds me a little bit of you. Have you ever seen the documentary Grizzly Man with Timothy Treadwell?
I have not. I grew up with Dan Haggerty and Grizzly Adams. And he turned out to be a real good friend of mine before he died. But I have not seen that one, no.
Well, Timothy Treadwell, he's a guy, you heard of his story. He was kind of a failed actor, and then he decided to go live in the Katmai Valley in Alaska, where the biggest population of brown bears are. And for 13 years, he had the closest footage of brown bears. He called them grizzlies, but they weren't technically grizzlies. And he was not a bear biologist or anything, even though he kind of pretended to be. But in his last trip, he did get eaten. He decided to go back, and the bears, I guess they were in a moment where they have to forage for food right before hibernation, and that these bears decided to finally kill him. But you got to look into the story of Grizzly Man and Timothy Treadwell. He's like you, Joe. I can't believe that you would get up to a 2,000-pound tiger. He would get up to a 1,000-pound bear. How do you have the balls to do that, Joe?
From a federal prison.
God gave me a gift, Alex, and that was to work with tigers. I never got hurt. Never. Even when they put perfume on my shoes and tried to get me killed in the cage that day, I still never got hurt. I had God looking out for me to be able to walk with the biggest beast on the planet.
And did you use dominance with a cat? Because I know sometimes I saw you kind of whip them or something. If you were kind of in a situation where you thought they might lunge at you or something, would you assert your dominance? What do you do in a situation if you catch yourself with a wild animal like that?
Well, even out in the wild, if you encounter a bear or a mountain lion, you have to be loud and you have to be forceful, because if you show any intimidation, they got you. Doesn't mean that you have to be mean and beat them or anything. Because if you watch the footage of where that liger drugged me across the cage, hell, I had my .357. I shot the ground. I didn't shoot my cat because it was my kid. I shot the ground because I knew the noise would make her let go. But it's just you got to be loud and take control. No different than when you have kids. You're gonna raise your voice at your kids because they're gonna pay attention. But that don't mean that you gotta whip them or beat them.
Well, Joe, how did you go from a little bit of your life story though? How did you go? You're such an interesting guy. I think you were the youngest police chief. Is that correct?
In the state of Texas's history, yes, sir, at the age of 19.
That's pretty strong. That's pretty good. But how did you and then you owned a pet shop, but how did you really even get into these exotic animals? Who gave you your first tiger?
When my brother got killed, I sold the pet store and moved to Oklahoma to take care of my elderly parents, and we started the sanctuary in memory of him. And my very first tiger, look, Alex, I've never seen a tiger in my life, ever before 2000, the year 2000. The Ardmore Police Department in Ardmore, Oklahoma called me that somebody had moved and left 2 tigers, a mountain lion, and a black leopard in the backyard starving. And so I went and got them, and I took them back to the zoo. I took my vet, and we tranquilized them, took them back to the zoo, and they were so sick. And at that time, I was the only person there because we weren't open to the public yet. Brian was in the house dying. He was on hospice. So I would lock myself in the cage with these 2 strange tigers and clean their cage and pet them all day because they were that sick. And over time, one morning I went out and there were 6 baby tigers in the house, and that was my first experience with baby tigers. And from then on, people around the whole United States called me to come rescue tigers, and they started calling me the Tiger King because we ended up taking 18-wheeler cattle trucks to rescue so many at a time.
That's insane that you're in a cattle truck, but it's full of tigers. I would have liked to see. That's crazy. Somebody's just sent in a super chat. They want to say, Joe, would you go on the show Love After Lockup once you get out? Love you, pimp on a blimp. Mucho respetos. I know. I mean, Joe, if you got out, you realize how many opportunities that you would have for television and reality shows. Like, that's what's unfortunate is I think I was just watching a documentary. They let an NFL player come out of get out of jail during the strike, the football strike back in the 80s. They need to let you out of jail just so you can go work and make us some good TV, because everything else sucks on TV, Joe.
Yeah, I would love to, and I'm sure that I will have that opportunity. Absolutely. I got to work with President Trump, or whoever the hell lets me out of here. I'm engaged to an illegal immigrant, so I either got to keep him in America or I got to go to Mexico. But either way, I deserve to be out of here. My parents have died since I've been in here. I have no home. I have nothing left. They took everything. They sold everything. I've been robbed of 7 years of my life. And even if I did anything wrong, 7 years is more than a punishment enough.
Oh, that's cruel and unusual at this point. I mean, at 7 years for what you did, I mean, they should have given you a slap on the wrist. They already took away everything you had. I mean, they took everything that you burnt down, all your footage. And I know you had thousands of hours of great content that would have made the Tiger King even a better documentary. You lost everything you had. And if that's not enough to punish a man, I don't know what is. By locking you in that jail, it's just, at this point, it's just cruel.
Yeah, I have nothing left. Absolutely nothing. If I walk out of here, I'll walk out of here with the clothes that the BOP gives me, because I have nothing out there. Absolutely nothing. I'm going to start completely over, which I don't mind. I will start over because I work for what I get. But you know what I miss the most, Alex, is my community service work of helping sick kids that were dying. I granted last wishes, and feeding the homeless on holidays and stuff like that. That's what I literally miss the most.
Well, Joe, I got a picture of it. This is send Jorge a prayer of strength to make it through solitary, please. So your boyfriend is in solitary confinement right now, or he was?
Yeah, he still is. I've been sending emails all day trying to get him out.
Wow, Joe. Listen, that's so unfortunate. Everybody, we want to send a prayer to Jorge. And then while I have you, I want to bring on our next guest real quick. Adrian, are you there, Adrian? I don't know if I can hear Adrian.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh, he's here. Okay, Joe can't hear him, but I got Joe Exotic on the phone. I didn't want to hold you too long, Adrian, because I know you're very busy, but I have the Tiger King on the phone. Did you ever watch his documentary?
No, I did not. I'm actually not aware.
He's a huge fan of yours, Joe. So I'll tell you this much, Joe. Before you go, how can we help you on the outside? How can I tell my viewers, what can they do right now? Can they write a letter? Do they need to contact Donald Trump? How can we help you? What is the best strategy right now?
Right now, the big thing is everywhere Donald Trump posts a post, put Free Joe Exotic in the comments, send a letter to Mar-a-Lago, pick up a phone and call Mar-a-Lago, get a hold of Don Jr. I'm praying to God that Joe Rogan and you and John Clay can get John Jr.'s attention, because
this call is from a federal prison.
Had his attention in 2020, and Don Jr. kept saying, on television, Dad, Joe needs a pardon. And then January 6th happened, and everything got screwed up. And I've waited 4 more years for this opportunity for President Trump to get back in office. So just be my voice out there. Free Joe Exotic. We got to get the movement going so he does include me in the January 6ers.
Yes, they do. Because, I mean, if he's going to pardon those 3,000 people, he can get his attorney to write up another pardon for Joe Exotic. And before you go, Joe, we have on Adrian Dittmann. He is a guy that's really well known on X. He's one of the biggest users on X, because I think he's secretly Elon Musk, even though he's not. But I'm just saying, thank you for calling. This guy's friends with Elon, though. Adrian, can you contact Elon and tell him to free the Tiger King to contact Donald Trump? Adrian?
Okay. Look, just because there's a bit of a relationship, I can't really do that.
If you can hear me, I appreciate it.
He said he's going to help you. Adrian said he's going to do whatever he can.
I can't really do anything in the way of that. That's a limitation for me.
Going to hang up in 30 seconds. So hey, I just want to tell all your viewers, me and George send our love. We appreciate your support. Free Joe Exotic, and let's hope that in 14 days this will all come to an end for me.
Yes, sir. Let's stay in touch until the inauguration. So I'll call you. Let's talk next week.
Okay, buddy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye-bye.
All right. Stay strong. All right. Adrian, sorry about that. I just had Joe Exotic on. He's really stressed out. He's locked up in jail right now, having a really bad time. Did you never see his documentary, Adrian?
No, I have not. What's he? He's a tiger. I've heard of the Tiger King. I've heard of that for sure, but I've never like gotten any specifics.
Well, what happened was is he started off as, I mean, long story short, he started off owning a pet store. Then the pet store closed, and then he started an animal sanctuary. And before he knew it, the animal sanctuary had like 25 tigers. 1,000-pound ligers, lion, tigers, mix, all whatever kind of person that abandoned one of these exotic animals, he would take them at his place, and he would shoot a lot of content, and he would get really close to them, and he was just a fearless guy. And he had a boyfriend that accidentally shot himself in the head, and then that was hooked on methamphetamines. It's a long story, but it's
Jesus
very interesting
Christ.
story. Yes, dude. Yes, Adrian. It's like that. But dude, I'm so happy you're on the show right now, guys. We have the one, the only Adrian Dittmann. And I want to say this, and I didn't go and tweet this publicly because you and I have talked. We've talked multiple times. I know, even though you sound like Elon, you're not Elon. Why are these people, all these conspiracy theorists, they won't believe you? Does that bug the hell out of you, Adrian?
It doesn't really bug me. It's a the way I like to look at it is as if it was a kind of litmus test, or it's more like a somewhat global IQ test in reality. So like,
they could do
you can give them all kinds of evidence, and if they cannot take this evidence, that's kind of on them. That's their fault. It doesn't really bug me. I just think it's kind of stupid, but also kind of funny at the same time. Mostly it's just funny, if anything else. I mean, look, there are very, very many similarities, of course. That causes a little bit of chaos. I'm sure people are aware.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, I mean, I always tell everyone I am not Elon Musk, and it's like they don't want to believe me. I don't understand why they don't want to believe me, because it's like, okay, here, cool. You have someone that's extremely like him. Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. All of that kind of stuff. So then what they do next is they like, I'm going to try and somehow put this guy into the shit. That's what we're going to do here, because I can't do it with Elon, so I'm going to do it with this guy because I think that that's the guy. And so they do all this kind of weird bullshit, play all their cards and do all kinds of nonsense. And then when they realize that they're wrong about the assertion that I'm Elon, they kind of have to cover for themselves, because they basically are staking their entire ill-gotten reputation on the false conclusion that I am someone who I'm not. Like it's weird in a sense, if you think about it that way. It's like the same thing with the Tesla Q and various others. I mean, like, imagine all the people who have like said hardcore, done all this weird shit, and then it's like, oh wow, actually no, they're 100% wrong. It does really dent their credibility, and rightfully so.
And I haven't really seen anybody come back and say, okay, we agree, even though, we know what happened after all this conundrum. But Adrian, I would have to say right now, the biggest podcaster in the universe, the one, the only, Joe Rogan, was talking about you. Have you seen this clip yet?
Yes, I have. I even
Let's
reposted
watch it
it.
For the audience that hasn't seen it, I want to get your reaction.
It's funny as fuck.
do a good Alex Jones impression. Are you aware of the Elon Musk Adrian Dittmann controversy?
That I saw something. They said he was a fake person. He made a fake.
So I think they call them sock puppet accounts.
Okay.
And it's generally frowned upon to have a fake account. Like,
but it's not a fake
account. Like it would be a fun way to fuck around online. I don't have one, but it seems like it would be a fun way to fuck around online.
It takes a lot of time, it seems like.
Yeah, but you could have like a fake account where if you're a public person, like.
But Adrian, you don't have a fake account. You just sound like Elon, or have some similarities in ideological viewpoints, right? I mean, you're not impersonating him.
Basically. No, basically, it's just a very strange coincidence, if anything. So, I mean, I don't really know. It's weird. People always say, okay, we live in a simulation, but I think, the longer I live within this world, I kind of become exceedingly aware of the fact that it definitely is a simulation. That's not a bad thing, by the way. I think that's a really good thing. A lot of people try to dress it as something that is inherently bad. I would completely disagree. I mean, these are the very same people who would unironically play a video game on the weekend for like 10 hours a day and not have any problem with that whatsoever. They'd actually enjoy it. So I'm like, wait a minute. If you're spending all of your time in a simulation, especially on the weekend or something like that, why does it bother you that you are in a simulation now, which is real life? I mean, it's just a more immersive video game, if anything else. And you cannot really unplug from your avatar, and your avatar is the one thing you've got, and everything here is hardcore, which means if you get one ticket to live. So I don't really see why that is a bit of a problem. So it's just more so a coincidence than anything else.
I think it's weird. And I look at that. About simulation theory, but I remember when football on my.
Is it just me, or do you sound relatively glitchy?
Do I sound bad? How's the audio? Does it sound
Oh yeah,
bad?
no, the audio is great. Yeah, the audio is great right now.
Maybe I was too low on my mic. Okay. What I was going to say is when you play those football games, it's always simulate season. And you talk about this video game culture. People just spend their whole every free minute they have playing video games. So it wouldn't be that big of a stretch to say that we would fall for the simulation right now in front of us. If we fall for, even though we know it's a fake simulation in a game, that a real life simulation that we could be in that. So who's the author of the simulation? Who's running the computer program? I mean, who do you think's calling the shot? Like a god opinion, Adrian?
I don't know. I don't really care that much, actually. What I kind of care about is a little bit different. Many people want to know where it all is from, and I think at some point you kind of will discover it within your life, or perhaps at the end of it. But realistically, I think it's about playing the game as best as you can while you're here, in whichever way you can. So it's like you get to choose what kind of path you want for yourself to a certain extent, but then various things already laid out for you in some ways. So there's like very limited control that you have, but also at the same time, it's like you're kind of falling in line with very, very specific paths that happen. Like just happen to be there. It's like the way I imagine reality to function like is a type of multi-dimensional fractal, if anything. People look at time as if it was a flat circle, which is ironic because many people live with the understanding that time is a flat circle. And so they kind of live with that, and they keep memory holding everything because they just see it as a thing that is, however much change there is, the more everything changes, the more it stays the same. That's kind of like the flat circle argument in a sense, right? So I see it a little bit differently. I just see that there's repetition because people forget. But in and of itself, there's still the path, and it looks like basically what a fractal seems to be, especially when you consider, say, choices that are made and how they impact reality around you. So it feels like a fractal in that sense, even though we're just at a very, very, very small point of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to, when you say this geometric shape of a fractal, like I get that, but I still kind of don't understand the analogy. Maybe I'm stupid here. I'm looking it up right now. I mean, we got Wikipedia, fractal, so a geometric shape. But how would you say that? Why do you say it's a fractal? Because
it's like that, but multidimensional. You're seeing like effectively what is a flat rendering of the thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, kind of. So it's a 5-dimensional thing. It's not just 3-dimensional. Wouldn't it be 5-dimensional?
Yeah, however many there happen to be. That's kind of how I like to look at it as, because that would make more sense. You know, everything else doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that, to me, makes sense. So it's kind of like a personal theory of mine, if anything else.
Well, I do need to. We need to put some of the rumors to rest. You're not Elon Musk. You are dating Grimes. Is that true that you're dating Grimes, Elon Musk's ex?
What? No. What the fuck? That's a funny accusation.
But that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do next is you have to date somebody.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not. You would not.
No.
You would not be Eskimo Brothers with Elon is what you're saying here on Primetime with Alex Stein.
That's messed up. That's really messed up. No.
I respect that. I think a good friend would not do that to another friend. And I don't know if you guys are really that close, but somebody that you respect, I don't think you would do that with somebody that you respect either. So where does Elon, what does he do now? You know this, and I have to ask you. People accuse you of being Elon. And I like Elon, even though I have some grievances with Elon. You know, Elon's not perfect. But think about what's coming up. Do you think there's going to be a censorship thing? Because I know he kind of took some blue check marks away, but then they got their check marks back. So what is really happening with the censorship, Adrian?
I mean, I can't really tell you what's happening behind the scenes, but
what's happening what's happening that we know, not behind the scenes, but what's happening that you know, because I know you're dialed in.
So it would be it would be various different policy violations. So where do you want to start? Like, there've been multiple check marks removed. Of course, I believe you. Well, are you aware of what happened with the Conservatives OG account?
Yes, conservative. That was a good one. That's a good example because even
how that began. Okay, so it was very simple. So you had Laura Loomer, right? She wanted to post something. Okay, so she wanted to have it. Okay, it's like this. There was the beginning spark of the H-1B discussion. Of course, I'm pretty sure you know. You should know what H-1Bs are. Mm-hmm. Anyways, there's a debate about it. People want to get rid of it. So you have these people of the what they like to call themselves as the OG MAGA base that are against immigration in general, especially H-1B, because of something that was probably said in 2016. Anyways, right? By Trump. So with that out of the way, with this in mind, they basically then decided, we have this person who's going to be in charge of AI or something like that, which would be Shriram Krishna, and they wanted to basically prove that this person is not loyal to Trump. And the way they wanted to do that is they had FEC records, and in the FEC records, it would turn out that he was, I don't know, somehow supporting Ro Khanna or something, who was the person who was, I don't know, somehow supporting the impeachment of Donald Trump back in 2020. I don't know. It's
So
very
yeah, so
complicated,
they
but that's
weren't a
what they
Trump
did.
supporter.
So-
Yeah.
So they posted the FEC records, and the problem is Laura Loomer posted the FEC records, and the problem was that they didn't obfuscate all of the personal information. So the address, for instance, this is considered as personal information. So here's a problem, right? Technically speaking, the FEC records are public information, but when it comes to publishing this on a platform, the data that's in it can be considered as personal information, especially things such as your phone numbers and addresses. And she didn't censor it properly. She didn't redact it properly, so the address was still visible, and that then basically got her a 12-hour account lockout. She used to had her account locked for 12 hours.
For doxing,
and then
doxing, nothing to do with free
Yes.
speech. It's accidental doxing.
Exactly. Yeah. So this then somehow impacted the organization itself, which is Conservatives OG, which she was affiliated with. See, when you with orgs on X, if you subscribe to them, you get like a little gold check mark, and you also get the ability to give other accounts an affiliate badge, which will basically appear next to your blue check mark, like a minimized version of the org's profile picture. Right. And so now, if one of the members of the org violates something, it kind of affects the org itself. And then as such, well, that seems to be how it is, according to this person, Jordan, who had an org as well. He kind of explained to me how that worked from his perspective anyways. So what happened was this dinged then the Conservatives OG accounts, most likely, and that's why they lost their check mark. And that's why then everyone else who had the affiliate badge also lost their check marks, because the affiliate badge just basically disappeared. And so then the re-verification process was initialized. So even though these people were still subscribed to like Premium or Premium Plus, they had to go through the verification process again, because this version of verification just disappeared. Okay. So then that's why all of them were drumming up nonsense about it on X, when in reality, all that happened is that one of the members of the org accidentally doxed someone, which then had the org, which then led to the removal of the golden checkmark from the org, which then led to the removal of all the checkmarks and all the other people that were affiliated with it.
Yeah, that makes more sense that Laura accidentally doxed somebody and they gave her a temporary suspension. I did think it's weird how they took the whole organization's badge away, even though she did.
I mean, it's in the terms of service. It's in the terms of service. You have to look at it. The terms of service for org accounts is different than the terms of service for just normal accounts, I suppose. So you'll have to look into that. And,
to a different standard. That would make sense. But then after that, so those people, I think Conservative got their stuff back, I believe. I don't know if that's 100% true. Didn't they get their badge?
Yes, they did. Yep, yeah. They got all their shit back. Everything's been reverted back to normal. They didn't give, the Conservatives OG account didn't give back all of the people their badges for some reason. I'm not sure why that was exactly. Like, for instance, Laura Loomer doesn't have the badge at the moment. They didn't give it back to her, it seems. But she does have the blue checkmark back. So everybody has their checkmarks back. Every single one of them.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. But, and you
got a lot of
heat. Well, and this is a group that's attacked me a lot, even though I mean, Nick Fuentes, I think, is actually a smart guy, but the Groypers, Nick's actually, even though he's whatever you want to talk about his political views, he's actually kind of nice, but his Groypers are some of the most sick people ever. They come and attack you and they say some of the meanest stuff. You got attacked by the Groypers, right, Adrian? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
It was nothing. I was just there, and I was trying to yank some chains because I realized that so in this space they were basically trying to claim censorship and political targeting, and I was there to basically tell them that they're full of shit. And so I told them this multiple times. I tried to basically extract out of them what has actually happened, because all of them were lying, and they kept lying constantly, which was a big problem. So, anyways, I did that, and at this point I decided, I can't get the truth out of them the easy way, so I'm going to do it the hard way. I'm going to start massively trolling now. So I started yanking their chains a little bit, being a little bit abrasive, as you do, because when people are angry, they tend to reveal the truth a lot faster than people who are self-confident or overconfident.
True.
Actually, overconfident works as well. You can do it one of two ways. The easiest way is to make people angry. The hardest way is to make people feel extremely confident of themselves. Right? And in this case, that was not going to work because they already felt overconfident by default. Right? It's their baseline. That's why they did this bullshit, because they thought they could get away with it. So I was like, okay, fuck it. The trolling option is the only thing that's available to me. So I did that, yanked a few chains professionally, I might say, and that pissed off a bunch of people. And then somehow they called in the reinforcements, is the best way I could describe it. They had a whole bunch of people on, one of which was this weird Dalton guy, and started, I don't know, throwing around a bunch of racist shit. I was like, damn, dude, I don't know what that was all about, but yeah. And then eventually, I don't know. He tried to cook me on, I don't know, say paying taxes. I'm like, what's wrong with paying taxes? Like this guy just continues to shit on everything for no fucking reason whatsoever, and then does this and then leaves. I'm like, okay, who's next? So it didn't really bother me. It's just that people then try to attack me on the timeline for, I don't know, calling him out as a racist. Like they were calling me unhinged. And I was like, hang on a second, you want to call me unhinged, but you're going to call this guy mentally sane? Sure, that's okay. That's not going to happen though, right? And so I spoke out about that, and then they attacked me for that. That didn't work out.
Did you block him? But real quick, I want to read this super chat. It says, the Joker, $50. You could easily prove you're not Elon by showing your face. It's like, how many times you have to tell these people that you're not Elon Musk? You guys have been in the same space. Like, I'm a
exactly. Like I'm like, if you cannot find the evidence yourself, then that's kind of a you problem. And I have literally, like, I owe no one anything. You can't find this
information. Sorry, Adrian, guys, if you really do want to fucking know, excuse my French, you could figure it out. But people are just, they would rather believe the illusion that you are Elon with a sock account interacting with people, because that story is a lot more juicy. That story is way better than if you are, Elon's clone. That's why they don't want to know the truth.
Well, I'm not Elon's clone either. I'm just like a random guy.
Well, I'm saying that a joke. I'm saying that as a joke.
No. I just thought I had to clarify, because again, if people are willing to go this far, they're probably not going to get sarcasm either and be like, oh my God, it's the Neuralink clone. It's like that kind of stuff happens.
They honestly are going to think you're a clone. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
100%.
Okay, well, and you try to troll on Extra. You do troll. I like to troll, but you have to admit though, when you get in the mud, it's not, when you lay with dogs, you get fleas. Sometimes I'm learning that too. When I troll these big politicians and stuff, some of the backlash. Like, have you realized that? Like, do you want to troll less, or do you want to troll more after blowing up in the past 2 weeks like you have?
I mean, I certainly have toned it down a little bit, that's for sure, but actually not that much. I mean, I'm back to baseline as I've always been, realistically. And the trolling that I did on Spaces there is what I would always do in that type of situation. I didn't have a choice. That's the thing. You see, like, you have to think of it this way. Everybody has dependencies in some way, because in order to grow, grow socially, you have to build up your own social network. And often that means, taking and giving favors to people in this information space. They're like people who are already established. And then you have a lot of dependencies, which means that if something is happening and you have to speak out against it, you really can't as much, because you have dependencies and everybody owes each other a favor. So realistically, since I'm somewhat of the exception here, that I don't have any of those burdens, I was able to come up there and basically interrogate him to figure out what the truth actually was. And nobody else is going to do it. They weren't letting anybody else up but they did with me for reasons that I don't quite understand. Like, I don't quite understand what they thought was going to happen, other than that. So yeah.
Well, look, the Joker, he sent us over $70. It takes like 2 seconds to turn on your webcam. Like, they're never gonna. So at this point, you know what I would do?
Yeah, I'm just not going to do
it. Well, I know. I don't blame you, but what I'm saying is, at this point, and I know you probably don't want to burn bridges with Elon, but I would lean into it. I would lean into the conspiracy, because you already got Joe Rogan talking about it. You already got all the. I mean, you can't convince them now, so why not just lean into it a little bit?
It's kind of funny, because there's this movie from the it was like back then when Marvel was still like really fire. There was one that's called Avengers: Age of Ultron, and there was like one scene specifically when Vision was born, and like right after he came out of the casket, he was like looking at his hands and he was saying, maybe I am a monster. I wouldn't know if I were one. And in my case, I'm like, everybody keeps insinuating so heavily that I'm Elon. It's like, maybe I am Elon. I wouldn't know if I was. Like that kind of thing is just coming to my head. It's funny as fuck.
Yeah,
no, I don't think I'll ever lean into it.
That's what we like to hear. That conspiracy theorists like to hear these. Oh, maybe I am.
Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lean into it. I don't think that's fair. It's no, I'm not gonna do that.
Adrian, how do people, and this is why I don't like talking about subjects like this, even though I love everybody in the audience, but most people probably aren't even monetized on Twitter. The majority of people aren't. And so when I ask this question, it makes me sound like a douche. Like, what's the best way to make money on Twitter? Because I've had times where I had 25 million, 50 million impressions in a month, and the most I've ever gotten is $400. And that was with 50 million impressions.
It's your comments. It's your comments. Well, what you want is like organic comments, specifically from people who are verified. That's where the money seems to be at. Now, I'm not saying like go manipulate. I'm just saying create content that's worth it.
But you're saying like a quote tweet from a big account would be good, or comments from big blue check mark account? Because like I would think video views
anyone
like
really, if
YouTube.
it's an organic reply, it's great. And with organic, I mean something that is extremely relevant to the context being whatever you posted. And so that adds to something, you know.
Joker
It
said
can't
you
be
weren't
inorganic,
gonna
as in
do it
like
the
people
first place.
replying in a manner that feels very separated from the post that they're replying to. That's kind of like what I've been able to gauge.
Well, I know there's not, you know, easy way to figure out how to make money, but I would on X, but I would think that video views would convert to money like YouTube, but it's not like that. So that's kind of
No, because there's no pre-roll ads on it, and even if there were, many people are not in a program. I believe there was at some point. I still remember, like, you know, people were talking about it, and there was like the Mr. Beast thing, but I don't know if that's a thing still. But I'm sure, like for most of the creators, they specifically stated that it's going to be based off of replies. That's why there was like this trend for a while where they said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to buy random users some premium, subscription." Yeah. That's why it was, because they wanted more verified people to reply.
Well, is that a good thing that the price is going up, though, Adrian, or is that a sign that maybe Twitter's hurting? Because it's going from $220 a month to $309 for me.
I mean, I don't know where to put the price up, but I wouldn't think that that's a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. Well, sometimes, you know, they say maybe that's a bad thing. Like, did Elon get a good deal at $44 billion?
I think it was definitely overpriced. That's for sure.
Okay, it was a little.
But
he figured out a way to make money, though. Yeah, because they say that Elon can say that he lost money in this corporation or that corporation, and then he can use that money to, you know, make his tax hit way less.
I mean, realistically, what you have to understand is he did what he did because it was necessary. There was literally no other option. You know, if he wouldn't have acquired the platform, a lot of stuff that has happened and a lot of the freedoms that we have right now as people using X wouldn't have those. Actually, most of us would be banned. You know,
that's true.
We'd be unable to circulate certain types of information. We'd be unable to speak about things that are actually important because, you know, they go against a specific narrative set by I don't know whom. And that is a bit of a problem, right? So they would ban you, but they don't.
We'd be done. I mean, I'd be done too. And that's why, like on X, I used to always try to, I have like a show account, but back then I had like for my other podcast before this podcast, I'd always post to my podcast account and then reshare that in case the account got a strike or something. You know what I mean? I was just very worried. Back in the day, you know, when I had two accounts, I'd always try to post on my lesser account in case it did, because I was always under the impression that at any moment somebody can mass report you and get your account taken down. And now that Elon's there, I have more trust in the system, but I didn't used to have that trust because you can mass flag somebody and you used to be able to take them down with that with that method.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no censorship, and the people who always cry censorship, it's the most ironic thing ever. I think it's kind of funny because I recently saw somebody who says, "Oh, we're being heavily censored on the platform." Meanwhile, I'm looking at the post that's like 1.6 million impressions. I'm like, "Yeah, you're so censored."
You're talking about
sure, you're so censored. Yeah. You're like, "We're 1.6 million impressions. You're so censored."
Well, and Nick's tweets, you know, did you see his "My Body" or "Her Body, My Choice" tweet got like 100 million impressions? Did you see that tweet?
Yeah, that's insane. That was actually insane.
But I'm saying, even if Nick was getting shadow banned, he could somehow break through it because he knows how to be controversial. He knows how to make people get involved.
No. If you were truly shadow banned, that wouldn't even be possible.
You don't think so? Even with it? Because
and besides, it doesn't exist. Shadow banning doesn't really exist.
Well,
there are visibility filters for sure, but that would be known, and they would tell you.
Well, this is Meta,
notification.
Not X, but on my Instagram right now, I posted something where a trans person threatened me, and they said it was a self-harm violation. And now on Instagram, my account cannot be shown to non-followers. So I feel like they can do that. You know, I'm sure.
So you have like zero reach.
Yeah, I have like zero reach. I mean, but sometimes I've had videos, a couple of them break through because enough people shared them, where then people started sharing them organically. But if most of them haven't been doing that well, but I'm saying they still have those kind of parameters, and like you said, search filters. They do have on X. I just don't know
if they did it on if that were to affect your account, there would be a notification that there's a label assigned. Like that they don't insidiously do that. That's completely false. It's all made up.
As someone,
Like most of the people that I say most of the people that I see which claim to be shadow banned, they're just basically posting takes that are nonsensical. They keep repeating the same weird ass complaints, and it never brings in anything positive at all. And then they basically are surprised why nobody wants to engage with it. Because guess what? The human brain has a limit for how much drama it can intake, and at some point it's like, ugh, you know, you have the regretted user minutes that are coming in. That's a bit of a problem, right?
I agree, but what is this guy, this joker? He sent over $100 in super chats. Did you give that lady a horse? What is that? I have no idea what that means. Is that a troll? Well, I don't know. Do you know what that means? You paid $20 to ask that. It must be important. We appreciate all the super chats. No, I feel like though for you, and I'm not here to just give you advice, but they're finding you. They've already found you. You've been on Alex Jones' show. You've been a viral personality on X now for a while. But now that all the conspiracy theorists are just dead set that you are Elon, I just feel like this is a time for you to capitalize. And you're not going to misrepresent yourself and lie. But the more you tell us that you're not Elon, the more that convinces a conspiracy theorist that you are Elon. Does that make sense?
I suppose it does. It's very nonsensical because, like, I can't lie. I'm not going to lie. Like, fuck that. So, and even leaning into it would only be from the perspective of trolling. Like, some of the people on my show do this. They, like, sometimes just for shits and giggles call me Elon out of nowhere, and I'm like, fuck you. So it's like,
dude, that's good.
That would be the extent of it. But I don't really want to lean into it. Like, I'm not going to do that. I think that's very unethical, actually, to do that.
Do you drive a Tesla?
At the moment, I don't, because I live in an environment which is very rocky, so I'd have to get a Cybertruck, and that's currently the limitation on that is the delivery. But yeah. Your audio is like gone.
No, can you hear me? Is my audio okay, guys? Can you hear me? Oh shoot, hold on.
Yeah, now I can.
No, can you hear me? Is my audio okay? Hold on.
Yeah, now I can. Yep. Now.
Okay, good. Sorry, I don't know why it went out. But listen, Adrian, when we talk about the future, I think the future is going to be good with Donald Trump. Do you think that Elon, though, is he really the shadow president like the media says?
No, it's bullshit. They keep saying this kind of shadow president. It's a funny one.
That's what they say.
That's a funny line. No, I don't think that is the case at all.
But how much do you think he has Trump's ear?
I don't know. I'm not Trump and I'm not Elon, so I don't know how much he has his ear or doesn't have his ear. You know, you can make suggestions, and that's how it is. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have. I'm pretty sure like that involvement is less. How to explain this? Is less severe, if you wanted to look at it by a scale of involvement, than something like what many of the other billionaires have been doing for years. I mean, look, hey, you have someone like what is Bill Gates go to the UK to try and get involved with how the food supply is managed, and by way of getting cows, like they're feeding cows with these weird pills or whatever medication it is to stop them from farting. And nobody talks about that. So what's the difference here? That is, I think, worse. And that's definitively involvement in places like he doesn't even have any jurisdiction whatsoever. That's not even he's not a person who's a citizen of the United Kingdom. This is an American that's interfering with UK administration, and nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. So I'd say that the idea of shadow president is just media rhetoric, and it's bullshit. They should rather focus on something that's actually interesting like that, in my opinion. Because what's that all about?
Well, you brought up pills to make cows to fart less, but we have that. It's called Beano.
Stop them farting, actually. Yeah.
So they don't fart at all. They just their butthole would not emit any sort of...
I don't know what they're doing to those cows, but I would not eat any of that meat. Nothing that comes out of that is at all good. that's my take on it. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, I want a cow.
Besides, it's like based off of this false. It's like based off this false understanding that methane is somehow like the worst enemy. Like they say, oh, it's worse than CO2, but like it's reabsorbed. It's like, wait, what? Huh? It's like how is that a problem? You couldn't even really measure it either. You know, and if somebody does, they're probably lying.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we need CO2. So this whole climate change.
This is the methane. It's good. So they're looking at it from this perspective of a greenhouse gas, and they say, okay, methane is actually more of a lethal greenhouse gas by the effect itself than something like CO2. So they say, oh, we're gonna target the cows now. When in reality, the methane production, like the methane contribution to the environment via your food production such as that is so minimal that it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it's not going to really have an effect. Somebody's Cliff and Phil show sent $20. Visit to a small planet. Thank you, Cliff. I'm not sure what the context is, but we appreciate that. Okay, Mars. Speaking of planets, Elon's full of crap. Like we're going to be living in Mars in our lifetime. Like we can't even go to the moon right now. How the hell are we going to have a base on Mars? Give me a break.
You'd be surprised. I think it's definitely possible. I mean, how would you know it's not?
Well, how are you going to build a damn thing on Mars, Adrian? I'm saying I'm just using common sense. First of all, okay, let's say we can get there no problem, and even though it's like a 2 or 3 year journey, what are you just going to put a portable building in there, and that's just going to be airtight, and that's just going to be safe? Like I just don't know. Are you going to bring carpenters? Are you going to bring illegal immigrants in spacesuits to build the stuff? Because I'm serious. You think
illegal immigrants in spacesuits? What the?
You need a bunch of H-1 space visas for Elon to be. Because listen,
what
you or
the
me,
fuck?
I can't.
That's going to be crazy. It's one I've ever heard from anyone. Wow.
I can't build
I think
a house.
It's just I don't know how they're going to construct any of the infrastructure on Mars. I mean, I'm not the person who's like, I don't really know that much about it. It'll probably be, I'm not sure if SpaceX is going to do that. It's probably going to be some other company that's going to, like, SpaceX is more so the actual launch vehicle itself. Like, that's what they're bringing, not only their own satellites up there into space, for instance, they also bring a bunch of other people's satellites up into space as well, and also delivering probes and whatnot, right? It's a huge business, obviously. So when it comes to something like Mars, I mean, if they're going to deliver something there, I'm not sure what it is. Probably it's going to be some sort of infrastructure by another company that's going to create habitat. I'm not sure. And if it's not, it's probably just going to be robots. I mean, hey, if it was up to me, and I'm not saying that this is what Elon's going to do, but if it was up to me and I had some extremely capable humanoid robots, I'd send those to the planet Mars and have them build a bunch of infrastructure. That would be my thinking. But I mean, I've been thinking this for like the better part of a decade now. I was like really young once, and I had a debate with someone like, okay, how would you best construct something on Mars? I'm like, well, you need robots, and specifically you need humanoid robots. And we don't have those yet, but I have a feeling that we will, because the computer's improving. Our ability to, move limbs is also improving. So we should definitely have that ability at some point. Fucking man, my prediction was spot on. Nobody cared. It wasn't big enough for anyone to care back then, but yep.
Well, you have been right. You're a little clairvoyant, Adrian. But what is this? $2 from Chris G. What does not Elon think of reverse speech? What do you think about reverse speech?
What?
I don't even know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. I have no idea.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Now I really got to press you though, because I know you know the inside baseball. These drones in New Jersey and everywhere, they say it's a secret operation being run by Elon. I don't know if I believe that.
What?
But have you heard that? You haven't heard that conspiracy that supposedly Elon has something to do with the drones because he hasn't been tweeting about it. That is why they're speculating that.
I mean, I haven't been posting about it either because I think it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, it's not my position to talk about this. I don't really have much of an interest there. Okay, so people say it's a bunch of drones. Well, that's it. There's a bunch of drones. There you go. It's your answer. I don't know. I don't get involved in those things. It's not my business. I don't care.
Yeah, I know, but
I care about what goes up to space, how it goes up to space, which companies are doing it, which companies are the best at doing that, and what do they bring back from space, specifically things like materials, because that's going to be important, because guess what? There's a lot of good stuff in space that we also have on Earth, but there's more of it in space, and we don't have to destroy Earth in order to get it. So that's pretty cool. That's what I'm focused on. I don't really care about drones flying over some fucking city.
Yeah, but what, I mean, with all due respect, though, what they say there's asteroids made of gold and stuff like that. How are you going to, how are you going to mine an asteroid of gold? You know what I mean? I mean, even if there are all these, and I agree, there's probably all kinds of elements out there, platinum, all this stuff. How are we going to get this shit, Adrian? I mean, it sounds good in there's
theory. There's many ways. I mean, asteroid mining is asteroid mining definitely is scalable. It depends on which way you're going to do it, but I'm pretty that there's many companies that are working on this. They're just waiting for a means to get closer to those places in a way that is financially viable. I'm sure, because at the moment it's way too expensive. You got to go with NASA. It's fucking impossible, actually. And then second of all, it's going to be way too expensive even if you tried. So if you can have something like Starship, for instance, that's going to make it way fucking easier. Because it could take a lot of stuff. You can put a lot of stuff in there. It's a very big rocket.
Yeah, but how are you going to land on an asteroid? I mean, you know what I mean?
You don't necessarily need to land on an asteroid per se, as you need to kind of like cling to it, depending on the size, of course.
Yeah, that kind of
asteroids have their own gravity field, so it's
like
fine.
How,
I mean,
like how
probes have been landed on asteroids for quite a while. I'm pretty sure you've seen a few cool pictures coming from asteroids where probes are driving around on them. Effectively,
Yeah,
you could do that. It's not a problem.
I've seen them. I've seen them, but what I'm saying is maybe it's like how they fill up an airplane in the air. You know, maybe they can kind of just get near it and send a drill or something. You know, have you ever seen that where two planes refill in midair?
Yeah, I suppose, but that wouldn't make that much sense. You'd actually want to take the vehicle there and then eject whatever's in it out, and then it flies to the asteroid, does whatever, and just extracts. However, it's going to do that. I'm not sure how it's going to do that. I'm not an asteroid mining specialist.
Yeah,
I'd have to talk to someone who is. I've yet to find one who's actually, very convincing. But I'll look into it for sure.
Sounds like a Stanley Kubrick movie. Okay, now because you were calling out, Stanley Kubrick was a great director, but you have been calling out a lot of these people, and I think that you say that you are a conspiracy theorist, or that you're not a conspiracy theorist. So
I'm not a conspiracy theorist of any kind. I'm a futurist.
So you're anti.
An enthusiastic futurist.
You're enthusiastic futurist. I like that. See, I'm kind of a...
People call me a tech bro. Like when all the H1B stuff came out, they like wanted to use the tech bros if it was an insult. I'm like, you're kind of lumping me up with a bunch of other people that are wildly successful, and you think that that's an insult? Kind of shows me, right?
I know, but
it's kind of funny. That's when they're accurate, but yeah, I'm a person who's more sort of a futurist, and I like things that will make the planet better.
Adrian, whatever you want to say about H1B, and even if you're pro-immigration or all this, you do have to admit this. I think you would have to agree with me on this, that these corporations are more interested in making money than they are helping out America. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I'm not sure which specific corporations would those be. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are always a few bad apples on the tree. But
well, to be fair, it's not a corporation's
and
job
look, the
to
system
make
itself.
America
I've had many debates. I had many debates about this on Spaces, and we've agreed, I think, by and large, by consensus, that yes, the H1B system would need a reform. Like it needs a reform, right? I'm not going to be the one who drafts up the suggestion for it, of course, but it does need a reform because there are many different issues that we have discussed at length on Spaces there. Because everybody else is willing to have an honest discussion. They just wanted to make it all about race. So I'm like, okay, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah, they make everything. Do they say you're Jewish? Do they accuse you of being Jewish all the time, Adrian? Do they think?
No, they accuse me of being a space lizard. Actually, that's a new
space lizard. So they don't call you like Mossad, or they don't call.
No, that hasn't come around yet. No, they just call me either a rogue AGI, but that one's died off. Then they called me a Neuralink clone, that's died off. Now they call me Tech Bro / Space Lizard. I'm not sure how that makes any sense, but sure, I guess.
Space Lizard sounds kind of cool. Are you big into Doge? Do you have any Dogecoin, or are you not in the crypto space?
I'm not really into crypto. I was to a certain extent into it because of the technology. I thought it was kind of cool, and I saw some of its flaws, which then led me out of it. It just became a tiring thing where I realized that for them, time is a even smaller flat circle. I never did anything productive, and it just kept going in circles, and nothing ever got done. And I'm like, okay, fuck this. So I just said, yeah, fuck this. It doesn't make any sense. As far as say when it comes to like crypto, when I look at it from a perspective of a currency, you look at something like Doge as a great transactional currency. If you look at something like Bitcoin, for instance, it's a great store of value. I think it's like digital gold, effectively, if you wanted to put it that way. The Doge is just for transactional, because it would cost way too much to actually just transact Bitcoin, I think, to a certain extent. So you don't want to have to like be a cheap transactional currency.
Yeah, because it takes gas to do the transactions. People don't realize you have to pay a lot in transaction fees. So,
transaction fees,
yes. And Righteous Chef gave a number 99. Thank you, Righteous Chef, with the $9. Well, listen, Adrian, I really appreciate you coming on, but what do we do though in the future of X? Like, how do we hold Mark Zuckerberg accountable when he says that he's going to, make free speech more accessible on his platform? How do we hold him accountable? Because he can say that all day long, but I'm still on Instagram where I can't get my account shared to non-followers. Like, are they lying to us? I feel like they're lying to us. Oh, it's free speech. And that's how I feel.
Their version of free speech is going to be get certain people on and silo them as hard as possible. It will just basically be Twitter 1.0. That's kind of what it's going to become. I mean, look at something like Threads, for instance. That whole thing just died on launch. It was crazy. It was so fucking funny because I saw a lot of the people, especially the crypto people, because they thought, oh, we're going to get in early. That's their spirit, right? They want to be early to the Ponzi scheme. And so it's like, oh, hey, we're going to go into this app and we're going to be the first influencers there. They were on there and I said, look, you have literally zero network. There is no one of any value on that app. You think you can be influencers because you think that that's the way these things work. But in this case, it doesn't. You're about to get a lesson in how networking works. I told them, you're going to be back in 3 days, 2 or 3 days. All of you are going to be back. What happened? 2 or 3 days, all of them are back.
They're all back on X.
Told you so.
Okay, Hypno
It's like,
Llama said,
yeah, there's nothing there. It's so bad. By the way, Threads, for instance, and Instagram is so bad that not even Jan LeCun, who like continues yapping like crazy, who tries to like make a political point about not posting on X, even though he does, this guy is trying to communicate with people on fucking LinkedIn as opposed to say something that's owned by his boss. Like that's how bad it is. He could just like keep posting on fucking Threads, but he doesn't do that. So he posts on fucking LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know
I think that's kind of funny. I think he takes the links and posts them on X because LinkedIn has like zero reach.
That's the last social media platform. Okay, so before you go, I wanted to watch this. I want to get your opinion. It says actually real quick. Let me do the super chat. Hypno Llama, ask him if he knows he is being surrounded by yes men. He needs to be made aware of this. It could bring him down. So they still believe that you're really Elon.
Yeah, I'm not Elon, and I'm not surrounded by yes men. I surround myself with relatively critical individuals. We operate by very similar principles, but we are very constructive and frequent within our criticism.
Okay, now I want to watch this video. This is the Marsh
I don't think
family.
I want to watch this.
Oh, they're pissed at you. Watch. This is the most cringe you're ever going to see. Watch.
Like a worm in the gut. That's attached so you can't throw it up. Elon Musk leeches on feed after feed.
Is this not ridiculous?
Yeah, I wonder how much of these people are like on Blue Sky or something. It would be an interesting graph.
Well, this family, they sing songs like this, and they're actually really woke. So they're like huge liberals.
No shit.
Yeah,
actually very woke. Yeah, no shit.
Woke singing family sing bizarre song attacking Elon Musk after he called out the UK Labour Party over the grooming gangs, the lies of him and his kind engrossed the news like some. So this is why I do like Elon. I feel like he is going after a lot of these
such tolerant people. Damn, I can feel the tolerance. Can you feel the tolerance? Alex, tell me, can you feel the tolerance? I can really feel the tolerance. It's amazing.
I can
I feel so tolerated. I think everybody's like so tolerated by these people. Not.
And you see the base. Look at these poor kids. You know, he does not want to be there. This kid is totally checked out. He probably
absolutely
likes
bad. He's fucking cooked.
He's probably has freaking X on his cell phone right now, tweeting from it.
Absolutely. He's like, please get me out of here.
Well, Adrian, before you go, tell the people how they can find you and how they can support you the best.
Yeah, you can find me on x.com at Adrian Dittmann. That is double T and a double N at the end. People keep getting that confused, but yeah, you can find me. I'm like trending everywhere. You'll probably come across my account somehow. I host spaces. That's what I do. It's called The Conversation, but I don't want to show myself too much because, you know, I kind of respect your platform.
No, I know. Please show all the way. And then now I got to read a couple more super chats actually right before you go.
Sure.
Joker, he spent like $130. Only an autist would go this link to defend himself. Okay, that.
Well, I am in fact on the spectrum. That is in fact true. But defending himself would imply that I'm Elon, which I'm not. So that part is incorrect.
Boom, roasted. I would like to see Elon anonymously apply to 100 positions at different tech companies after not receiving a callback from a majority of them. Maybe he would get why so many people are frustrated over the H-1B issue. Joe Schmo, $20. Yeah, people are attacking.
I've heard this a lot. I think this is. I think that this type of effect that you're seeing is largely due to DI. So I think like this specifically has increased over time because of DI. And that's I think one of the reasons why DI itself was championed so much, because if you wanted to have this quote unquote diversity and inclusion, then you could basically use that as an excuse and be like, oh hey, we have this very marginalized people. Okay, we're gonna bring those in to like bring up the ESG credit score. So yeah, I would say this probably was exacerbated by DI, in my opinion. I don't think it's actually that bad, but that remains to be seen. I don't own a massive company in the United States that has hiring practices like this, so I don't really know. But you're gonna have to like talk to some of them that might be transparent with the hiring process. I myself wouldn't know beyond that, but I do understand there is a bit of a problem there, especially that Americans. Like, look, if you're an American citizen, you were born in America. You know, if you're of the land, it's like you just if you're skilled, you do deserve that position, of course. But I think a lot of the issues was like over time. I actually saw something very, very interesting. You know. I saw, for instance, I think it was Aaron Levi, was it? I'm not sure if it was Aaron Levi, but there was somebody who actually said, there was like a reply that said, okay, I can't get a job anywhere in like the specific computer science or something like that. And then he left a reply there. The link to is like, hey, you want to work? This is what you'll be doing. This is how long you'll be doing it for. This is how much money you get for that. And then Burgess complains, wow, that's way too long working hours. It's like, you're going to deal with something like that. The long working hours are kind of like a requirement in a sense, because that's a problem, right? If you're dealing with something like that, if you're not on top 100% of the time, you are going to get fucked. But people don't know this about tech companies. They probably weren't ever in one. That's why they're not going to get a job like that, because they're entitled as this. I mean, you don't have a job. What better option do you have? Realistically.
Be fair.
There is a job. Somebody just literally handed you a job on a silver platter.
No, you're right. You're going to have to work hard. There is a huge difference. And Sam Hyde, a friend of mine, had in his video. That was a great video. I don't know if you saw that video, but it was great. He talked about how it's hard for an American business to compete against a Chinese business because they can use actual slave labor. And because of that, they want to figure out how to get slave labor in America.
Not every business in China uses slave labor. It's a bit of an exaggeration.
Well, Apple, the biggest company, they have suicide nets at their Foxconn factory. That's a fact. You can look that up, type in Foxconn. Because
100%. I'm not denying that. I also don't buy any Apple products either. Not because it's a political message, but because they're too expensive and the OS is shit.
But if the biggest company in the world, Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world, their employees, the workplace conditions are so bad that they actually live in the same place that they work, and that there are so many people committing suicide that they have to put nets to catch them. My point is, you can't get that same labor in America, so it's going to be hard.
Well, of course. Yeah, it's fucked up, and nobody should be doing that. And I think, instead of Apple spending so much on advertising and stock buybacks, maybe they should invest in making their workplaces a little better, because goddamn, that's something. Like, they'd rather invest in stock buybacks than actually reinvest in their company.
You're exactly right. The Joker, this guy hates you, Adrian. You're not even clever with your comebacks, Adrian. Thank you for $10. This guy must be rich, Joker.
Exactly. I was about to say, it's funny that this guy's angry at me, because I'm like, basically, you're draining his wallet through me. It's kind of ironic. So like, his hate, you must be like a masochist or something, because you're basically spending money on a bunch of questions to which answers will not always be granted.
And we've been talking for basically an hour.
Lamau, by the way.
How can people not realize that you're not Elon? Like, we're talking about these subjects. And I know, even though you do have stuff that you agree with him, like, how can don't they think that we'd be able to tell by now if we were talking to actual Elon? I'm just confused. Maybe I'm jaded because you and I have had a phone conversation, and that's this is a normal guy.
I mean, I understand there's like a lot of similarities for sure, but I speak a lot faster. Although I have noticed his speech has improved actually a lot. It's very interesting with Elon. It's like, I've seen from his live streams, he's actually stuttering a lot less, which is fascinating. I was like, God damn, he's getting good at this. I'm probably sure it's because he's doing a lot more public speaking, so that is definitely helping him out there. But for me, I speak a lot faster. I have different intonations. My voice feels a lot fuller, I think, to a certain extent as well, especially when it comes to, say, pronouncing certain words, and the phrases are a little bit different. The humor and some of the mannerisms are quite similar, because, it's basically autism spectrum. It's like, you're me computer as a human. So, yeah.
Well, actually, that's the last thing I want to bring up. So did you see what Elon's dad said about him growing up? Did you see that? You had to have saw that, right?
No. Here's the thing. I don't really care about such things because it's not my place. It's not my place. I have this thing. Okay, so have you read Meditations? Like Marcus Aurelius. It's the thing that leads into Stoicism. You read that?
No, not really. On the Joker,
you don't have to. That's a bit of a point here. There's a bit of a point that I'm trying to make here, and I don't want to watch that because it's not my business, and I don't get involved in the family matters of another person. That's an ethics thing for me. Okay.
That's fair. No worries.
With Marcus Aurelius, it's actually quite interesting. This book, Meditations, is based on his diary, effectively, right? But that diary, he ordered it to be burnt. Right, but somebody kept it and turned it into a book. And so now everybody is reading Marcus Aurelius' diary that Marcus Aurelius himself would have wanted to be burnt. Like, he wanted to have that diary burnt, but everyone's reading it now. So basically, everyone's reading his deepest, darkest secrets, and they're turning it into a religion. That's kind of pathetic for the people who are turning it into religion, because there's no such thing as a stoicist, because it's basically a lie. Because you're taking somebody else's deepest, darkest secrets and you're adding it onto your own, and that then becomes like a type of religion. I think that's exceedingly pathetic, right? But in reality, everything that stoicism is by execution is taking the concept of do good, not because you have to, but because you ought to, and then making decisions in line with whatever that principle is. That's literally it. That is literally it. You don't need to read the whole book. You don't need to read any part of it. And besides, he made a lot of life decisions, by the way, which are kind of weird as well. He did, in fact, get cucked by his wife, which is annoying. So I wouldn't really take any advice from that, in my opinion. Sure, some of the philosophies are quite nice and they're well written and the reflections are kind of interesting, I suppose. But realistically speaking, that is still up to you. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you are truly good. Because if you're basing your own nature off of somebody else's deepest, darkest secrets, effectively, then you're not really real and you're just lying to yourself. So this is going to get a lot of hate from me because there's a lot of stoicists and they're going to take this as massive fucking offense. I'm like, if you know your history, you know it's true. So fuck you. But realistically, that's kind of how I feel with this. I don't want to look into certain things because it's not fair. It's not fair.
No, that's fine. And that is personal stuff. Now this though,
I respect a person's personal space. Like, I don't care.
Do you know who Nick Rekieta is?
No.
Nick Rekieta at one point was the biggest law tuber. You might have saw him. He covered the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and he had over 200,000 live viewers watching it. He was one of the highest super chatted channel on YouTube. But the reason I bring him up is he was wife swapping with a guy named Aaron Imholt, who has a podcast called Steel Toe Morning Show. And they're both famous YouTubers, and they were swapping wives and cucking each other. And at the end of the day, the smaller YouTuber, his wife decided to stay with this Nick Rekieta guy. Even though they were cooking each other's husbands. I know. So you haven't heard about the Nick Rekieta and all this stuff. It's a big,
that's ridiculous.
It's a huge story here. Nick Rekieta arrest. Let me pull up some news real quick though. So just so you know, I'm not BSing. You're like, what are you talking about? Who is Nick Rekieta and why was he arrested? So this is Nick Rekieta, the once popular YouTuber. This is what it says. It says the once popular YouTuber and lawyer Nick Rekieta, known for his comedic, informative law content, has been arrested in Iran alongside his wife. The creator faces several charges of possession that come with a possible 25-year sentence, all amidst a lawsuit against another YouTuber and months of purported substance abuse. So what happened was this other YouTuber that Nick Rekieta took this other YouTuber's wife, basically. She decided to stay with this Nick guy. And then that other guy went on his podcast and he started talking about how Nick and them were doing ecstasy, how they were doing blow. And then somebody from their church, from this guy's church, from Nick's church, put in a concerned citizen report. But since it was from a priest, it's considered more important. Like if a school teacher or a priest, if they make a complaint, it's considered like from a person of authority or something. So they went to his house. Busted him with 28 grams of cocaine, and his 9-year-old daughter tested positive for cocaine. And then on top of this,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's why I can't believe you haven't heard it. And then Kayla, on top of it, this other guy, Steel Toe Morning Show. Let me try to find a Steel Toe Morning Show. This guy, I can't even spell Morning Show. This guy, images. So this is Aaron Imholt. So this is the other guy. This is Steel Toe Joe, a guy I like, actually, a pretty okay guy. His wife left him, went with Nick, and then he had pictures of this woman. He had pictures of Kayla, Nick's wife, and he texted it to this other comedian named Gino Bisconte. And now Steel Toe, this guy got arrested for revenge porn. Adrian, yeah. So you haven't heard any of this? It's been like the biggest story.
So first of all, this is insane, and second of all, like, why are you telling me this? What's the point of this? It's kind of insane, though.
Well, you told me about the cuckolding thing, and I'm friends. I like Nick and them.
And you just thought you'd bring that up. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
It's just a viral story. It's like the most viral story of the year. So I don't know.
I missed it. I missed out on it at the time because I kind of didn't want to get myself involved in what was happening in the scene at the time. It was very annoying. It was very noisy. I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want any of that negativity. I don't want to like get into that news feed. I was like specifically more I was more focused on scientific things, and, ironically enough, rockets actually. So it was like looking into that, how they work, and I was more absorbed with that at the time. I still recall. Like you said, that's why I know about the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. So I was like, yeah.
Well, and I look up and I like space and all this stuff. It is kind of fun to fantasize or research, look into science. All that stuff is fun. But when it really comes down to it, though, I think what brings us most joy is when we're on these platforms and we get positivity. Because for me, if I get 100 positive comments, I always remember the one negative. Is that the same with you, Adrian? Like, in a way, isn't social media evil in this sense that it is a very negative place?
It's the other way around for me, because I actually like the positivity, and I'll always remember the most positive comment and not even give a shit about the most negative, because I understand that the most negative there is because it's supposed to gain my attention or something. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that actually. So it's a discipline thing. I don't care. My brain is like a filter for all things that are like negative. That shit just doesn't exist because it's bullshit. Because a lot of that stuff is spam anyways by default. So they're going to put a bunch of stuff there that's designed to piss you off for no reason. And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
How much of the interaction? Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's the right way to look at it. But it's it's not always easy to make the right decision. It's always not always easy to feel that way. But what about bots? How much of this engagement is artificial, in your opinion, Adrian?
I don't know. I think not much of it is. I'd say probably you couldn't even really measure it.
It's that small because you see people, even Joe was talking about in the same episode as you, is that you might be arguing with somebody, you're not even arguing with a human. You could be arguing with some AI bot and not even realize it.
I mean, if somebody writes something up that sounds extremely schizophrenic, I'm just like not going to reply to that because I know they're trying to, one, coax me out and waste my time, and then two, that's probably just like an AI. So I don't care either way, right?
Yeah, I love this guy, the Joker, even though he doesn't like you. He sent $10. Adrian, when did I accuse you of being Elon? I just told you to turn on your webcam on to help you out and prove you're not the people who keep accusing you of being him. I appreciate that, Joker.
Well, specifically, you were referring to a thing where it's like defending himself, and I believe you were insinuating to Elon within that specific thing that you mentioned there. We can run the clip back, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But and that's what you were doing. So that's where it's not an accusation as much as it was an insinuation. I would assume that was an insinuation because that's exactly how it came across as. And I mean, look, maybe you weren't insinuating anything, but I wouldn't really have any reason to believe otherwise, and I wouldn't really have any reason to trust you either. But either way, it's whatever you say it is.
Yeah, Adrian, did you study Vipassana meditation? Vipassana meditation. It sounds like you did.
No, I don't know what that is. I actually don't study meditation at all. I've never really studied meditation like in any way. I kind of like read a lot of religious texts and shit. It's like that's what I've been into. And then what is meditation? It's just basically sitting down somewhere, becoming exceedingly calm, and trying to connect with the universe around you. Did you just do it? You don't meditate on something either. You could if you wanted to, but you could just sit there and be in physical space.
That's what real meditation is when you're actually not thinking, when you can actually turn your brain off. I mean, sometimes you can meditate.
You start cruising, you see a lot of cool shit, actually. It's like you're just there, and it's very nice.
Well, this is with the Joker. This is his last one. Another $10. That was way after you already refused to turn it on. All right, Joker, I love you, brother. Thank you for all that.
I know. That's the point.
And Adrian, before you go, you can't turn on your camera because this is, as your friend, as a friend of yours, I consider you, we're internet friends. It ruins the mystique. Do not, and other people are going to dox you and this and that, but you can't. You need to just not be on camera.
No, I'm not going to turn it on because nobody can make me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. But in the future,
that's the thing. Even if I wanted to, it's like I'm not gonna. It's like, especially if you demanded like that. It's like, what? Okay, what's my gain? What's my upside to this?
And then somebody, Joe Schmo said I missed his super chat. Joe, I didn't see it. I apologize. Just retype what it is. Morgan will help me reshare. But so, Adrian, is there anything you want to say? We got a lot of people watching. Somebody said at one point we had 666 people watching, and they're saying that you're the Antichrist. Have you heard that conspiracy? That's so funny. I love that. We're like, oh wow, we got so many people like watching this piece right now. We're watching the stream right now. By the way, somebody said you're the Antichrist. I'm like, well, that's right out of pocket, isn't it? Wow,
that's funny as fuck. I think that's hilarious. No, I can assure you, I'm not the Antichrist. But I guess don't trust me, I suppose.
Okay,
I mean,
this is the final.
If I was the Antichrist, no, why would I be the Antichrist? That's a weird one.
You might be the anti. You never know. They say that.
I don't know if I was. I'm just kidding.
They're going to walk among us, though. I think the Bible in Revelation, they say that the Antichrist is going to walk among us, and we're going to like him for a little bit. I believe, if I'm correct. You guys can fact check me on that. Okay, last thing.
Well, I'm quite heavily disliked in some ways, so I don't know.
Maybe you are, but now that you're famous on Twitter, hold on, or excuse me. The Joker sent another $10. Your upside is you obviously stop stressing over MAGA turning on you. Oh, has MAGA turned on you? You think MAGA turned on you? Because I just
no, MAGA hasn't turned on me. Fringe elements, which are mostly just influencers that don't have an understanding of what was truly going on, that had a bit of a personal problem with the fact that they were not included in the political influence as much as they'd wanted to be. That's what has quote unquote turned on me, but a lot of that has turned back since because, I mean, if you're going to turn, I'm just going to call it out continuously, and that's going to make you look stupid, not me. So turning on me, that MAGA has turned on me. No, not at all. Actually, within the period where all of this weird shit was happening, where I called all these people out on their bullshit, a lot of MAGA people were actually following me.
And I think they're still going to follow you. Yeah, and they're MAGA
Yeah,
people.
I don't see. It's like I'm not against these people. I am against lies, and lies hurt whatever cause there exists, because lies aren't good. And so that is one of those things. They were like heavily lying about certain stuff. I called it out. Nobody else was willing to do it, so I did. And that, I think, is something that individuals such as that would actually respect a lot more, because that's what it was founded on.
You're right. I don't know what Joker said another $10. You said you and I listen. We're trying to have a conversation with super chats. This is insane, Joker. I love you, but dude,
He's screaming.
Wrap him up. I know Adrian has to go.
Imagine yanking someone's chain without even talking to him.
Adrian, though, now that you're well known on X, though, I'm sure the girls are in your DMs. I think that's what's going to be your Achilles heel. I think one of these girls is going to try to hit you up and get you to send a selfie, and she's going to dox you. That's what I think.
Again, like if somebody is extremely heavy in their ethics, they're not going to do shit like that. And for me, I don't even like to see that, and it's just weird to me. I think it's kind of gross.
Do you get a lot of girls in your DM though, thinking that you're Elon? I'm sure they do. They're like, "Hey, let me ride on your Tesla."
Yeah, some of them do. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. I don't understand what's wrong with these people. It's like what I like to call the post MILF. Don't worry about that. That's
what's the post MILF? No, I like that. But you're saying
it's more like so there's like this definition of people. So I'm going to take like a very Gen Z type of definition for something, like a specific person, their age and quality. It's like, okay, you have what is colloquially referred to as the MILF because of how porn works and everything, and then you get the after that, once it's past the period of being a MILF, then it's like the post MILF in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like they still think they're MILFs, but they're really not.
Yeah, they've kind of.
It's disgusting to me. It's just absolutely fucking disgusting. I see the most raunchiest nonsense in my DMs from those people, and I tell them publicly to stop because I think it is disgusting. And there's not a chance in fucking hell that I'm going to be into you. So fucking leave me alone.
Boom! Clip that. He doesn't want these hoes in his DMs. I respect that. Now, Adrian, this is keep getting these damn super chats from Jack Brennan, 666. Elon, please read this if you can. Do you know my brother, the Kevin Brennan? If not, maybe you should get your mouth off Joe Rogan's hog. I don't know why he said that.
What does that even mean? I don't know. It's like, what is Joe Rogan's? What's the hog? What's Joe Rogan's hog?
Hog
what does
means
that mean?
Wiener. That means wiener. But I'm saying he paid $20.
Okay, sorry. I'm not into insulting people on that kind of level. I tend to use philosophy more than anything else, which seems to get people a lot more pissed off because it sticks in their head. If somebody's going to make a wiener joke, nobody gives a fuck. But somebody who's like insulted you based on your foundational personal traits, whichever that happens to be with whatever false ideology you believe in, well, that's just going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Especially if it's like some random autistic kid doing it.
Well, look, the Joker's not letting up. Why did you refer to yourself when answering that question about Elon? So the Joker.
I didn't refer to myself. When did I refer to myself? As
I don't even know.
He's just making shit up at this point. He's making shit up at this point, but he's also making a lot of money for you. So, it's good for him, I suppose.
That's what I'm saying. What am I supposed to do? Say no? He's giving us a bunch of money. I can't say no to that. All right. Well, Adrian, dude, thank you so much for making time for us. Where can we hear your spaces? I know a lot of people here are going to want to go listen to some of your spaces. What days do you do those again? Every day?
I do them every single day. I'm actually going to do one in about 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to be there. So if you want to tune in, that's where it's going to be at. I kind of like having more of a discussion about tech and things such as that. So we don't really discuss as much current politics, maybe some current events for sure. We do cover those every now and then. But realistically speaking, we're focused on the stuff that I believe matters most because you have to kind of cut through the noise. When you look at a lot of the political drama, everybody wants the drama, but nobody really wants the facts. Nobody wants the solutions, and that's why nothing ever gets done. Instead of kind of sitting there in front of your TV, in front of wherever you're using to basically get information, and you're inundating yourself with a bunch of useless drama that at the end of the day does nothing except aid you in gossip or become your worst enemy in gossip, because then one very specific side of the political spectrum, like their gossip, you have that in your head and you can't communicate with anyone else because the only thing you know is the gossip. So nobody's compatible anymore. It's a problem.
Dude, you're 100% right. This internet has made us where we're just like, I remember
the internet can be better though. It's a choice. You don't have to do that. You don't have to listen to that. You can listen to the people who like utter the facts, and that's it.
Yeah, but when it comes to politics and stuff, it's like how no amount of evidence can convince an idiot, right? Like you can scream all day long.
100%.
that you're not Elon, and they're always going to say, like, what's his name? The Joker sent another $10. Well, when talking about the Upside, I asked about the roll clip back and everyone he's done. I don't know. Listen, Joker, appreciate that. My point is, you're never going to convince somebody if they have something stuck in their head. So for you, what is the biggest pressing issue? Is it politics? For me, I think it's our health. I think Americans and our global health is terrible.
Oh, yeah, health for sure. That's 100%. I agree with you on that. I think within all of this, like, of course, you have the advancements of computers. There's like some geopolitical stuff that surrounds compute that people don't give a shit about, which I think is, kind of weird, but sure. That will define how our future works in ways that people do not yet quite realize. Even though you see robots everywhere and you see automated systems that are taking over certain places where it would otherwise be very inhospitable for humans. Like, you see a lot of good improvements, I think, and
it's improving rapidly. Did you see that video of Will Smith eating spaghetti? And it was from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's also great because, now Hollywood's not going to have as much of leverage over the entertainment industry, I think. And people who are actually creative, who want to create good stuff from, for themselves, they will be able to use, tools like AI to create really good fan fiction movies, and that's going to be great. I mean, they've already done it. The only problem is going to be IP. So if Hollywood or any of the IP owners want to survive, then I would highly suggest that they build up, some sort of system that allows them to like scale and mass licensing, because if they don't, then basically all of their IP will continue to get stolen and they will have to try and take it down somewhere. But let me tell you something, when you're dealing with an expansive web of chaos, there is almost no amount of censorship that you can put to it that shuts it all down, unless you literally shut down everything, which you can't, because then nothing flows at all. So that's not going to happen, right? Or that shouldn't actually happen. And because it's unrealistic.
You're exactly right. I saw somebody, they turned Star Wars into a Wes Anderson movie, like, the guy that did the Royal Tenenbaums. And it looked awesome. I was saying it was a trailer for it. I'm like, I want to watch this movie, and it was all AI, and I'm like, oh, we're fucking future. Okay, now
that's gonna be great. Even like for speech and everything. Like, I've seen the animation for characters. It's really good. It's very deterministic now. Before it was not really that deterministic. Like, stuff would be melting in the background. Now it becomes extremely deterministic, which is incredible. Like, I actually have what is called like object permanence, and that is very good. You need this.
We do. Now the Joker, last thing, people are going to clip that. You're done. So you're done, Adrian. Oh, last question. This is the last question. This is from CLIT Rubs. Ask him if the Earth is flat. Yeah, what's the shape of the Earth? A lot of people say it's flat. I tend to sometimes question a lot of our reality. And
it is a mostly round, spheroid, squishy-looking thingy-minjiggy.
So it's not
like, it's round, but it's not entirely a perfect ball because of the way that gravity works. So it's almost a perfect ball, really.
And people are
it has like also varying densities and such. So it would feel very grainy and wet if you were to touch it, and kind of out of shape. Sounds so wrong.
I'll tell you this much, though. The sun, moon, and stars, a lot of what, when we look out into them, I think that they're a lot more important than just some sort of cosmic accident, personally. Like, I don't think that everything came from nothing. You probably disagree from that, but I feel like all these planets and all the alignment and everything that's happening around us is a very meticulously planned system.
I mean, it is. That's why I look at it like a fractal. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I don't deny it. It's like, I think the idea of the Big Bang, like something had to cause it for sure, and whatever that may be, it doesn't matter. You'll probably figure it out at some point. But you can look at the universe around you and realize that it is so systemic in nature. It's a beautiful thing. I think it's well crafted in ways that we have yet to fully understand. And, I look at the stars quite a lot, and I can observe over hours the three-dimensional nature of that space and realize how light works. Like, the reason why I do a lot of reading as to how the universe works is because I want to recognize what I'm looking at. I want to know what I'm looking at. I want to understand how fast those planets travel, how fast those planets spin, what their environment is like, and then the light that reflects off of them, how long it takes for that light to get to me, all of that kind of stuff. I'd want to understand all of it so I know what I'm looking at, so I can appreciate the beauty of the universe. Like, it's infinite complexity. You can simplify it, and you can enjoy it this way. Probably one of the only ways to enjoy it.
No, I agree.
And to interact with it. I love interacting with it. It's good to play around.
Well, in Dallas, you can't see the stars, but when I drive to Houston or Austin,
it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's all the fucking pollution. It's fucked up.
Yeah, but when
that's why there should be more electric cars on the road.
Well, when I'm in the country, you can see the stars, and you're like, man, this is just unbelievably. It's just unbelievable how beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right. Well, this is not Elon. This is the one, the only Adrian Dittmann. Man, thank you so much for making time. We went through all the super chats. You're about to do a damn space in about 30 minutes.
Yes.
If anybody wants to go join that. And they're still saying in the chat that you're Elon. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I can
We're
tell.
never gonna
This is
convince
like for sure one of the better interviews that I've had over the last couple of days. I had one with like a random streamer, and that guy was an absolute fucking idiot. But realistically, this is like one of the better ones that I've had. So thank you for asking like actually good questions, also being respectful of a lot of stuff that I didn't really want to talk about, which is great. So thank you, man. Absolutely nice. It was a good interview. I enjoyed this.
My
Great.
pleasure, Adrian. You came on my show. You're a guest of mine. I'm going to give you the respect you deserve. Now, this is what whales do. I'm starting to think this isn't Elon Musk. Well, it's not, but rather one of many of his clones explains everything. Then we're all right, wrong about Adrian. Oh wow! And I like the whales, dude. Thank you for the $5. I'm just going to start saying that you are his clone. I'm going to just lean into it, dude. I'm sorry.
Everybody keeps thinking it. Maybe it's like maybe it's just a strange causality thing. You know, it's like I don't know. The most like you is the most far away. I don't know. Or the furthest
and
away.
Your voice does sound like him, but you do have I mean, your cadence is like him too. But if you really listen to Elon and there is a
You can
slight
tell.
difference.
You can tell that there are differences for sure. Like I use my voice a little bit differently. You know,
Yeah.
I got more of the podcaster voice. That's for sure.
Well, you're on those spaces every damn day, kicking ass.
Oh yeah, you get a lot of practice. You have to.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me how much money that you make, but do you make decent money on X, Adrian? Can you say that? You don't have to say how much, but I mean, is it a livable money for you, or is it just kind of pocket change? Because I just make pocket change. I don't make a real livable wage on it.
Livable, like on the fringes of livable, I think would be close to it. On the fringes of livable, but that would mean you'd have to put an insane amount of activity. You don't make any money off the spaces, by the way.
Yeah, well, but I'm saying, but you're hustling.
No, you make no money off of spaces, like zero. You make literally $0 off of spaces, zero, nothing.
And you told me that, I know that, but I'm saying you do the spaces so you can get new fans, new audience. You know, you're hustling. You're
just have fun. It's like a charity in a sense. You know, it's like people want to donate their money or want to donate something. I just donate my imagination in a sense, right? And I interact with people that I think are very interesting, and it gives you a unique insight into the world and into the social functioning of many people, right? It's a great test for you as well.
Yeah, I just, you know, when it comes to all this internet stuff, and, you know, for me, when I go to sleep at night, the one thing I always ask myself, and I'm sure you ask yourself too, is Michelle Obama a boy or girl? Do you ask yourself that question? Because that's the most pressing.
No, that's the last thing across my mind. I actually don't think about that at all. But that's fucking funny.
You don't think about that at all? Are you serious?
Nope, I don't think about that at all. I think about the next day, and I think about how much of what I said would potentially end up in the news, or like who's listening to it and what do they think about it. That's kind of what I think about sometimes, because, you know, you do end up having like a pretty large impact, and there's a certain responsibility that comes with that. And so you tend to think about that a lot more, you know?
Yeah, with what is it? Great power comes great responsibility, and now you got a powerful
Ironically
account,
true.
and that is true. And I think you know, being an internet personality, it's kind of nice that you're, I guess, not the real Elon, but that you are able to carve out your own. Like I say that you carve out your own path, even though everybody thinks you're Elon, but you did carve out your own path. You know what I mean? And it feels good when you actually do that.
I mean, think about it this way. There was one person like a very long time ago said this. He said, you know, when you come to a show such as mine, it's like you come for the voice, but you stay for the intellect. And that's what it is. Like, if there was well and truly nothing behind me whatsoever other than a vocal resemblance, then nobody would stay around. Nobody would be intrigued. You know, you are intrigued by my answers to a certain extent, and other people are too as well. So if there was nothing there, then nobody would have any intrigue whatsoever, because it would be understood and would be like a thing as, oh, nobody cares, right? But even though the brain that exists there is a bit different, though it'd be also similar, there's still a lot that you can ask of this brain, and the answers could be very entertaining. And that's what people are after, I think.
That is what we're after. We want those entertaining answers, and you are a very smart guy. Now, Scott Starboard, a friend of the show, great chat rat. Alex, don't you have a show to get to? Yes. So, Adrian, I got a comedy show here at 7 p.m. in Dallas. Everybody, if you're in the Metroplex, meet me at Hyenas Comedy Club. So we got to wrap things up. What do you want to say before you go, Adrian?
Oh, nothing much, man. I don't really have any massive concluding thoughts, except for like
something. I wish you would chill something.
No, I'm not a big shill. I respect people's audience. I don't shill too much. I let my thoughts shill me I let my thoughts shill me effectively. That's how I do it. You know, I don't ask anyone to, like, you know, massively do things, unless of course I'm on my show and I ask people to, like, subscribe to the thing. Like, you know, I have subscriptions enabled. You can actually subscribe there if you'd like. But I don't really like shill that on anyone else's show. I don't do that. So I think it's disrespectful when people do that, because people build up a lot, and you know, it's somebody else's work, not yours.
You're right about that. All right, guys, everybody go follow Adrian Dittmann. It's kind of a weird way to spell it with the 2 A's and 2 N's, but you're the man, Adrian. Thank you for coming on. We're never going to believe these people. They're always going to believe that you're the real Elon. So say goodbye to the real Elon for all the people that believe it's the real Elon. Say goodbye to them.
I mean, hey, if you want to do this again sometime, hit me up.
Oh, for sure. And Adrian, you don't realize this. Actually, maybe you did engage with it on Twitter, but I had a video on Instagram get millions of views where you said I called you when you were in a space. With
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Are you going to put neural links?
So stupid.
I said, yes, and you sounded
the
just
lady
like
behind you was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" It's so fucking funny.
I almost had to go to HR at my company at the Blaze. Thank goodness that they were nice about that because they knew I was doing a joke and it wasn't a real thing. But you're the man. Adrian, let's do this again for sure. I know you're going to continue to make news. So I'll talk to you again soon. Everybody go follow Adrian. Go get in his space. Go yell at him in his space if you guys want to go yell at him. But here we respect Adrian. We like Adrian, and we wish Adrian the best. See you soon, my friend. You be safe. And
thanks for having me.
Keep tweeting. Keep Xing. What is it called on X? Not tweeting.
Posting. They're just called posting, yeah. There's no more gimmicky. It's just posts. But yeah, post, quote, post, repost, all that kind of shit. That's it.
Post it up. All right, Adrian. Have a good evening.
Likewise, man.
Guys, this has been our show. I love Adrian. I love you guys. We're going to Hyenas Comedy Club. If you guys want to see me tonight, come and say hey. If you can't afford a ticket, just send me a message on Instagram. I'll put you on my guest list. Because it's this late in the game, we need some butts and seats, even though I think we did okay with ticket sales. But I want the place to be packed out. All right, guys, Adrian, go follow Adrian. We're going to be back tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Actually, tomorrow night we're back at 6 p.m. Central Time. I love you guys. We got some special guests coming up, just like Adrian. Everybody go follow him. Peace and good night, guys.